I'm Christian Harris and welcome to the Slip Safety Show. Today I'm going to talk about the pendulum test. The pendulum is the gold standard of slip testing in the UK. It's well recognised. It's recognised by the HSE as the test to use, and critically, if you're in the unfortunate position of being in court with a HSE prosecution, it's that evidence that they're going to use against you. So it's really important to understand that the reason to get a pendulum test done is that that's the driving force. It's the HSE's preferred method of testing. How does it work? Basically, it mimics what happens when somebody's heel strikes a floor. So you have that interaction between the heel and the floor, and if there's not sufficient friction, that's when a slip occurs. The pendulum tests the floor and not the heel, and it does that by using a standardized heel. So there are two types of rubber. There's a 55 rubber, which is mimicking a barefoot, and a 96 rubber, which is a standard simulated shoe sole. So you're taking away the variability of the foot and you're really just looking at the floor. So the pendulum swings through and it strikes the floor between a predetermined distance, and it pushes a pointer onto a gauge, and the gauge tells you the coefficient of friction in a pendulum test value. The pendulum test value is basically 100 times the coefficient of friction. So a pendulum test value, or a PTV, of 20 is a coefficient of friction of 0.2. The higher the slip resistance, in very simple terms, the higher the number, but there are a couple of key numbers to note. One is 25 and one is 35. If you have a PTV of less than 25, then you have a high slip potential. If you have a PTV of higher than 36, you have a low slip potential. There are also ways to correlate the PTV to risk. So if you have a PTV of 19, then you have a risk exposure of 1 in 2. If you have a PTV of 36, you have a risk exposure of 1 in a million. And that's why the HSE has deemed that the low slip potential is a PTV of 36. They believe 1 in a million is quite a low risk.